Let's go, everybody. RevCon 2023 in full steam. I'm joined by two incredible RevOps and really GTM experts today. Sid Kumar, SVP of RevOps at HubSpot, Sangram Vajre, CEO and founder at GTM Partners. We are going to have a fireside chat. Let's get these gentlemen up. And we're going to talk about driving connected GTM with RevOps. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Excited to be here. Have this chat.
I'm looking forward where the fire is because, we are doing a fireside chat with actually, and maybe we need to have a background with some fire popping up or there like something to make it a fireside chat.
I got a real fireplace right back here. So
you do. Maybe we all need to have some hot wings, like hot ones. Everyone seems to be doing that. That's going to be the new era of fireside chats, because that's how funny would that be if we were all eating hot wings talking about connected GTM and like all the data Sid has? That'd be weird.
Let's do it.
But anyway, we're going to get started. Sid has a plethora of data that he wants to show about like the state of RevOps from HubSpot and whatnot. And we're gonna go through a few slides there. Then we're gonna open up some questions. I have some questions for these two. If you all have questions, drop it in the chat. We may or may not get to it, but if it's spicy enough, I'm going with that reference again. We might. So, Sid, let's go.
All right, let's get rolling here. Let me
put where you're from in the comments.
What's that?
I said put where you're from in the comments and what your top GTM challenges.
All right. Can everyone see my screen here?
Yeah.
All right. So what I want to do is just take you through a little bit of data. We did a survey with Pavilion last August, just to get an understanding of the state of go-to-market, how are teams leveraging RevOps to solve those problems. I want to take you through some of that data, because some of it's pretty eye-opening, some of it's not a surprise, but I think it's going to really help inform our discussion here today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the backdrop, as I said, on the new rules of revenue growth, some of the persistent go-to-market challenges that we're continuing to see out there across the B2B landscape. We're going to jump into our fireside chat, and then we're going to jump back in and give you all a call to action and how to do some things a little bit differently as you approach go-to-market and your engagement with RevOps going forward. So without further ado, I think we can all really empathize with the situation we're in right now. We're in a period where it's just a lot of unprecedented change, complexity. We're in that top upper right-hand quadrant of complexity and change. And I think about the things that are driving that. Buyer expectations are going through the roof, rising at an exponential rate. Connection and relevance with our customers is becoming more and more challenging and difficult. Technology like AI, automation is really democratizing access to capabilities that we could have never imagined before. And underpinning all that is efficient growth is not only a nice to have, it is the new requirement to get funded and to be a viable long-term enterprise right now. So there's a lot of variables here that you need to really bring together in order to have a long-term sustainable organization. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So if you think about this is a survey of a number of go-to-market leaders across sales, marketing, customer success that gave us a sense of what are their number one go-to-market challenges. And what was really eye-opening here is nearly 2/3 considered pre-sales, which is everything when you think of marketing, sales, top of funnel through deal close. 2/3 of their energy is focused there. That's where they see the biggest challenges. And it could range anywhere from brand awareness, lead generation, and pipe development are kind of the top three there. Post-sales was only about 20% of the go-to-market challenge, which is a bit ironic given the times that we're in right now. But it just highlights that there's not enough focus and energy on the post-sale side. And then alignment, which again, I think is something we're going to talk a lot about. Alignment is the essence of how we go to market, needs to operate going forward, and it's not top of mind yet for enough folks out there. We double click into pre-sales here, the pre-sales side, even within pre-sales and top of funnel, nearly a third of customers and companies out there don't have joint accountability between marketing and sales for demand generation. If there's a team sport out there that needs to be like just very evident and go to market, it's demand generation, and marketing and sales need to be just tied at the hip here. And also obviously bring in customer success around install base, et cetera. Pretty eye-opening. This next one around the post-sale side of it, if you look at where companies and organizations are spending their investments, it's all around the pre-sale side, right? Heavily on the sales side, not surprising, followed by marketing and customer success. Less than 10% of respondents considered customer success to be a top priority for their tech stack investments. So again, we have some imbalance here in terms of how we're thinking about the different areas of the tech stack and where we're prioritizing our investment. Same with RevOps. Teams that have RevOps are disproportionately focused on sales and bringing marketing in to some extent, but customer success is again that third priority there. So again, something we need to think about in terms of rebalancing that equation. And last but not least, just talking about the buyer's journey, it's not a well-defined area for over nearly half of the customers out there. So it's another area where if we want connected go-to-market, we want to drive alignment across the board, we're going to need to really pay attention to this one. And RevOps can play a big role here. RevOps has played a big role in helping sales and marketing orgs come closer together over the past couple of years. It needs to now be that catalyst between sales and CS and marketing and CS. So just a little bit of data to get us going on the state of go-to-market and where RevOps is playing a role today. So over to our fireside chat now.
I knew there would be a fire here.
Real one.
You got one.
It's awesome hearing some of the comments in the crowd, like alignment is a problem, nailing positioning for others, all depending on where they're at. I'm going to kick us off with a few questions here. So both of you deep in the space, and we'll give it to Sid first. Are you starting to see a change in how organizations think about pre-sales versus post-sales in this new environment?
Yeah, I mean, some of yeah, absolutely. I think people are really starting to think about this much more now. I think, Sangram, you shared this stat with me, I think in one of your roadshows. I think less than 1% of SaaS businesses are hitting 50 million in revenue.
Yeah.
Because of, go-to-market maturity. And a lot of that has to do with their lack of focus on post-sales. And I think if you think about, Winning by Design did a study. It said a 5% increase in retention can jump revenue by up to 95%. These are pretty staggering stats. Companies that want to make it from seed to IPO, the odds are so small, and it's because there's not enough focus on that post-sale side. And small incremental improvements on retention and customer value on that side are going to be the way you drive efficient, long-term, sustainable growth going forward. And I think we all know, like the amount of calories you expend trying to acquire a new customer versus retaining and growing your own. I think we all know there's it's probably a 5 to 10x multiplier on that level of effort. So yeah, we are starting to see organizations think much more about it. I think what we need to see over the next 18 to 24 months as we come out of this environment we're in is, are we really starting to put our money where our mouth is and start investing time and energy and tech stack accordingly?
What are you seeing, Sangram?
Yeah, well, first of all, I see Jill Raleigh in the house, and partner-led is a big part of RevOps that nobody talks about.
I'm so happy you picked up on that. This is the second session I've seen her ask about that. So
yeah, yep. She should be invited to these kind of conversations, because here we, some of us, like here, we're all the OGs of all of this. We are the problem. Let's be honest. Like we all have the ones who have talked about inbound and outbound and really funnelized every single thing to a point where the journey is no longer linear, but we still track the funnel because we expect people to go through that. So of course the numbers are as worse as they are. The two things I wrote down as you were talking about, one, what's changing in the pre-sales is the mindless, bottomless pit of nurture emails that nobody reads and nobody gets access to, and nobody wakes up in the morning to see another email from somebody. That's what's killing pre-sales. Pre-sales is no longer about that. It's a bottomless pit of nothingness, and that needs to stop. And for that to happen, you have to figure out how do you segment, cohort your data set, and look at it. So when Sid was showing all that data, I think my immediate thought was like, whoa, if I look at this at an aggregate level, it couldn't be more abysmal when you look at the intricacies of it. I wonder how many companies actually go into cohort level analysis and say, well, for this particular cohort, where are we? How are we doing? And what makes sense? So that's one. Number two, I've always said money is in the follow-up. Money is never in the first call or one-time thing. It's always in the follow-up, which means that every single rep, every single pre-sales process need to have intelligence behind that. So therefore, using the AI elements to it to make sure that you're following up with the right insights. The game is no longer in a market where every single dollar is scrutinized. What people need to have is not another person who can send 50 more emails, or not another tool that can send 1,000 emails out. You need someone who's like, all right, I'm going to take the time, focus on it, do a proper pre-sales, and I'm going to figure out a way to build a relationship. That's what Jill Raleigh is doing over here. She represents a business and a movement that is around partner-led. So she's on conversations because she's like, I want to be in conversations where things need to be talked about and invite partner-led conversations in it. One, like of the 7,000 people you have on it, Jared, that's like less than one. That's like 0.01% of the people who are doing what she's doing.
Really powerful stuff. And she just said, like, we've created the problem, we're gonna fix it together.
Yeah, right. There you go. There you go. Right.
I love that. Now, jump into the next question. Like, what's the new GTM playbook look like, and what role is RevOps playing, Sangram?
I'll just jump off because I'm looking and looking across several companies as we're advising it. Sid, you get to be in a position where you're actually living this out. So we may have some contrarian views, which is part of Fireside Chat. On this so part of it is that I feel like, well, RevOps, it's almost like, unfortunately, in many organizations, RevOps is like the glorified chief revenue officer who happens to be a salesperson. Right? Most companies, when they say, oh, I have a chief revenue officer. Oh, what do you do? Sales. Like, why are you the chief revenue officer? It doesn't make any sense. The same way in most companies, RevOps is the chief sales operator who happens to be the RevOps person. So very few companies actually have the ideal state, which I think maybe Sid, I'd love to hear how your organization is set up. But the one framework that we see is you have marketing ops, sales ops, partner ops, you have CS ops, all these different operators they need to be in their own functional area so they can really help those particular functions do well. But they roll up into this RevOps person who then is able to look across the board and say, well, this is working, this is not working. And then from a reporting of RevOps is that they better not be reporting to a functional leader, because then every number can be skewed, because that's what they are supposed to do. So I have a very contrarian view on most RevOps are not RevOps. They're marketing leaders or sales ops people. And two, if they're reporting into a functional role, then they're totally not playing what they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Sangram, we actually violently agree on this point, because
well, at least we're violently agreeing. So that's good.
No, we do. I think most RevOps is not RevOps. I agree with that. I think a lot of it, to your point, is Sales Ops 2.0 with a fancy title, just as the chief sales officer or VP of sales became the chief revenue officer. It was Sales Ops rebranded. And I think very much the way you're talking about it is that's how we organize it here. We have marketing strategy and ops, sales strategy and ops, CS strategy and ops, all under the umbrella of RevOps.
Yeah.
And I think that's the and part of it is like, how do you go really think about this end to end across the buyer's journey and have one common set of definitions, one common set of mechanisms that are really going this way versus, functionally. So really aligned there. I think the other, when I think about the new playbook, I think it really is customer oriented, working backwards from that customer journey as opposed to function out. So that's one big pivot that I see. And I think the next is, if you can get the right mechanisms and collaboration going, like we talk about alignment, but I think what we're really talking about is true go-to-market partnership and collaboration. So it's not the throwaway, let's just get aligned, right? It's much more than that. Are we rowing the boat in the same direction and trying to achieve the same outcome for our customers, which then shows up in the results for the company? I think the other piece of it is much more about agility, action, and accountability versus reporting and looking in the rearview mirror on what did or didn't go right. And I think that rate and pace of being able to do that is much more pronounced now. The way the market's moving, I think you need to be really quick and on your toes. It can't be a plan once and forget. It's kind of an always planning mindset. And the last piece is, we've talked about data forever, and data is not going to go away. Data is the fuel, it's the oil, whatever you want to call it. But what are you doing with it? And is it driving intelligent insights? And is it driving automation across your business? Those are the pieces that I see. It's like we've been a very human-centric RevOps or sales ops type of model. And I think we have to really look at how do we create more efficiencies, both within the RevOps function as well as across the go-to-market function with closed loop automation. Yeah.
Jared, can we pick up on David's note on there? Maybe just answer directly question.
Yeah. So why not focus on the existing? Watch this.
Yeah.
Check this out. Boom.
This is a great question. Like, I'm curious to see, Sid, like how much of you as a RevOps leader at a big organization like HubSpot, how much of your time, energy is focused on this versus net new?
I probably spent over half my time on the customer success side. I really do. And it's not just because of upsell. It's about usage, value, and adoption. I mean, I think all of these things, we talk about retention, we talk about renewal, and we talk about expansion. That is all the outcome of if your customer got the ROI in the first place. And I think that's the part from sales to value realization we all really need to go double down on in this next era or chapter of SaaS, if we want to call it that.
Yeah.
So
great question.
What are the best in class organizations doing differently?
Well, I'll just put my 2 cents on this one, because it all sounds really good to focus on existing customers. It all sounds really right to say NRR is the right metric, and clearly it is, and there's data to back it up. Like if it's 120%, I share that at road shows, and you have seen me talk about it. Almost 80-90% of the companies that we have been surveying and looking at don't focus on that. Like they don't. Like we still haven't been able to uncouple that area of our brain that says, well, how many net new customers we got versus all revenue is good revenue, or is it this is a better revenue and this is not good revenue? I think that level of conversation is still not happening almost 80-90% of the time in companies out there. So I'm very encouraged to hear, like at a company like HubSpot with so many different cohorts and segments and different types of products that they have, if you feel and you are spending about 50% of your time, it's an encouragement, hopefully to everybody listening to this, that's what you need to start doing. And I saw some people are from like, what about early stage companies or not? Honestly, in my view, and I'm curious to how you both think about it, early stage company, sometimes RevOps may be too much for you. Like you don't really need, I'm building a startup early stage company, like we're a sub $5 million business. My CRM happens to be my whiteboard. My team sometimes make fun of me. Like, how could you say that? I'm like, that's just the fact. We don't need to create 1,000 deals. We just need to close 50 great customers. And I already know in every quarter, we're going to close 5 or 10. I don't need a crazy amount of stuff. So people are complicating this thing. You need a better and better maturity level, which I think, Sid, I would love for your brain on this one is the maturity of an organization for RevOps is much different based on the stage that they are in. And people are overly going crazy on it. No, the point is the outcome. The point is not like what you're doing. It's the outcome, as you were saying. It's the actions that you can take as a result of it.
100%. I think there's a wide range of where you can go, views on where you can get started. I always like to think of process as the first place to get started, because you can be a really small company or a very large company. And if you can get alignment through mechanisms and understand what's your buyer's journey, can you answer that question? Right. And if you can answer that question at any stage of your company, the rest sort of falls in place. You might have one go-to-market team covering the entire buyer's journey and supporting it. You may have different teams, but it really is, can you answer that question? And if you can't, then you don't understand how your customers come to you and become customers. That's the first place I'd start. And then start, really investing in the foundations for data, invest in the quality of that from the very beginning. Gets a lot harder later once you get tech debt. But I don't think you need to start very big here, to your point. I think one whiteboard on, do you know what are all the channels through which your prospects engage with you and how they ultimately become customers, and how are you supporting them after? Can you answer that? And then you can go map what are the functions, people, teams, and then scale out from there. I think it's, to your point, you don't need to overcomplicate it.
How does your whole team see that whiteboard, though, Sangram?
I take screenshots of it.
That's my only question. I get the Google Sheets. You could all log in. But the whiteboard, I'm a little thrown.
Yeah, I mean, clearly we have graduated a spreadsheet lately, so you'll be proud of me. Sid, like,
amazing.
I email my team the spreadsheet once a month.
Yeah, once they even look at it. But I think that's the thing. We all are complicating the heck. The sales process is getting overly complicated. The whole playbooks, like you mentioned, Jared, about there were companies in 2014 when I was building Terminus. We hit $1 million in revenue. What we did, we hired like a bunch of SDRs and AEs, and we started going. Made sense. Now, at building another company at 23, or any person I'm advising right now, that would be a bad advice. Like, no, don't hire 10 sales reps tomorrow to go build it if you just got a taste of product market fit. Work at it. Make your customers wildly successful. And all those good things to say, actually, you have to do it now. You actually have to spend time with your customer. Now, number one metric in many ways that I would ask companies, like, who and how many of your executive team are actually truly spending time with your customers? Tell me what it is. Where is it tracked? Is it one meeting a week, or like you're just on the fly, or you're in just an email chain? Like, if you really dig in, 90% of the companies, I'm willing to bet they're working so much internally that they have lost sight of it. So all sounds great, but when it comes to doing it, very few companies do. I remember at HubSpot, Yamini Rangan, the CEO of HubSpot, they have the whole floor for executives, and they literally had 15-minute meetings with as many customers as they can. And I even got to spend and partners. And man, that is what you do, not just once, but multiple times a year.
I have one spicy question before we get to Sid's slides here. Who the fuck should RevOps report to?
Well, I certainly have a thought, but Sid, go for it.
So my thought is as close to the go-to-market organization without being completely embedded in it. So I think you have to strike the balance of, sales ops reporting to sales, or marketing ops reporting to marketing. I think that's a bit of a, fox guarding the hen house type of thing. But I think the way we have it is a fourth pillar within our go-to-market organization. So it is a peer organization to marketing, sales, and customer success. And then we work very closely with finance on when it comes to top-down planning and driving the overall P&L. So I think it gets us very close to the business, but also keeps us objective enough that we're going to be able to go challenge our stakeholders and make sure we're getting the right outcome. So that's where I play out.
All right. Well, Dominic, great gift there, because that's literally what everybody is like. Wait, whoa. You're talking about people's jobs now. So So twofold on this one. One is in a smaller or a fast growth or like sub 50 million, $100 million company, if that's where you are, like honestly, that's a place where you should just report to the CEO. Like it's just too far from anybody else in the organization. It's just too far. And it's almost peer to the, and assuming that if you have a CFO, then maybe to the CFO. But any functional leader, the data is too skewed. It's too early to put it under somebody else. And two, as you bigger the organization for different business units, like like Honeywell, for example, is one of our customers. Well, there's a business unit for everything. So if you have a business unit, then within that business unit, whoever the leader is, they should have the reporting structure for it. But every time I'll tell you this, and I said I want to see your data insights now. But every time I've seen a RevOps person report into a sales leader, the numbers automatically look amazing. Like there's no problem whatsoever. Everything is going down, but the numbers look amazing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just biased about the fact that no, do not let them report to a functional leader.
All right, Sid, you have a closing presentation to bring us home here with some of the
I would love to keep going on this. Great discussion. Let me just take us home here. All right.
This has been awesome.
All right. So it's fun. There's a lot of fun. So let me just take you through what should we do differently? Some CTAs. I think we need a new playbook to drive efficient and scaled revenue growth. If we think about the next 18, 24, 36 months, how do we think differently? And I'll just hit on these. It's really thinking from internal oriented to customer first, alignment to true partnership and collaboration across go-to-market. I call it the shift from set and forget, which is how we typically have planned in the past. And we think about the business, we plan in annual increments. It's now much more about action, accountability, agility, I mentioned before, and having an always planning mindset. The world is changing way too quickly. If you're running on an MRR business or even a quarterly basis, you need to be able to pivot quickly and sense and respond to changes in the market and macro environment. And then going from siloed information to true end-to-end view of your customer and using that to power insights that help customers, you engage with customers through humans and through digital, and the robots through automation. So that's sort of the mindset shift here. When I look back and summarize the key takeaways from our survey, what are best-in-class organizations doing? They're very buyer-oriented. They have a clear definition of what the buyer's journey looks like. They're able to pivot quickly on coverage, on comp, due to changes in the macro. They're aligned across go-to-market, right? And they do planning at an integrated level. We have a planning team that covers marketing, sales, and customer success end-to-end so that we are thinking about an integrated model as opposed to 3 functional models. The other one we didn't touch on earlier, but having enablement really hand in glove with RevOps or as part of RevOps is critical. You see the insights, where could you use some more attention and focus and make sure you have the best players on the field. That's making sure enablement is embedded and a core capability there. And then to round us out, they're usage focused. So you think about that activation to value post-sale. They're really thinking about how their CS teams are driving adoption and usage and making sure customers are getting value. They're obsessing with data, but to drive specific outcomes. They're iterating with AI and experimenting with automation. And last but not least, they are balanced across pre-sales, post-sales, and making sure they are spending the calories to get truly in sync and collaborate across the customer journey. So with that, I will say RevOps can be this go-to-market operating system for this next era of connected go-to-market, bringing together people, mechanisms, and data to go drive these outcomes. So thank you for the time. Really enjoyed this discussion and hope to talk to all of you soon.
And thank you, Sid and Sangram, for taking us away here and showing us how RevOps could and should look in many organizations. And it's been tremendous being able to hang with you all. Now, for our next session after this, we have a good one with Alex Garcia and Amanda Steinberg talking about unlocking email as a growth channel. They both are spectacular at it. Thank you, gentlemen, again. It's been
thank you so much. That was great. That's great. Sid, thank you. That was amazing insights and recommendation, man. I took screenshots of that. That was great.
I got that as well.
Yeah.
That was great. Thank you. Enjoyed that. Thanks.